Hi, Joe Brodnicki here, and welcome back to Leadership Matters. This is our edition for December 12th, 2013, and we're continuing our look into the key leadership role of restoring sanity. Restoring sanity is a balancing act. In the mid-1990s, Robert Sternberg, then a noted expert in theories of intelligence, asked himself how intelligent people could do foolish and sometimes evil things. His research found that leaders like Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, Mother Teresa, and Martin Luther King Jr. had IQs that were similar to infamous leaders like Stalin, Hitler, and Mao. And then, along with researchers Linda Jarvin and Alina Retsnikaya, he concluded what seems to be obvious. The difference is in how you use the knowledge that you have. But their research went deeper. They found that the difference was a quality that couldn't be measured: wisdom. And then they define wisdom as a balancing act among your own interests, the interests of others you work with, and the interests of others who could be impacted by your efforts. Now think about the differences between the great and infamous leaders that we mentioned earlier, and you can see how that applies. The works of Gandhi, Mandela, Mother Teresa, and King benefited many. Stalin, Hitler, and Mao presided over reigns of terror that killed millions of innocents. You could say that the great leaders helped to restore sanity, while the infamous ones created insanity. Leaders who enrich themselves or their supporters at the expense of others and the greater good bring down nations, they bring down companies, communities, governments, societies, and even families, and you've seen that many times. So one aspect of sane leadership is balancing the interests of everyone concerned. And Sternberg also defined the goal of wisdom as balancing long and short-term interests. Too much emphasis on short-term thinking focuses too much on the immediate benefit and often pushes problems down the road for others to deal with. For instance, auto plants in Flint, Michigan brought tremendous prosperity to that area in the post-World War II boom. But by focusing on short-term gain, the companies that ran the plants created long-term problems, like the polluted Flint River. They also failed to keep up with their customer wants. The companies lacked strategic direction. And many of these companies fell into financial ruin. Jobs were lost in the communities where the factories operated. Businesses that made the parts for the factories also closed down, and the local economy and environment are in ruin to this day. Now, a lack of attention to short-term issues can be just as devastating. Overlooking people issues and urgent problems, for instance. In the 3rd century, Emperor Hui provided over unrest in his kingdom in China, and he also presided over internal fighting in his palace. When told that there was no rice for the peasants to eat, he replied, "Well, why don't they eat meat?" Hui's failure to recognize an immediate problem, a lack of food and starvation, led to the loss of much of his kingdom. Wise and sane leaders restore sanity. They balance their own interests, the interests of others, and they also balance the long and short term. They blaze the trail in thought and deed. They create vision and common ground, and they get others involved to make it happen. Are you ready to step up and lead? Well, that's Leadership Matters for this week. If you want to keep the conversation going or find out how you can be a leader who restores sanity or ways to restore sanity in your organization or team, just drop me an email at the address that you see here, joe@successnavigation.com. Until next time, lead wisely.